The morning fog hung thick over Heathrow Airport as Tom Parker, Kamala's youngest son from her first marriage, prepared for what should have been a routine flight to Edinburgh. The 34-year-old food critic had planned this trip weeks ago to review a highly acclaimed restaurant for his magazine column. He checked his watch nervously, wondering why his usual swift passage through security was taking so long today. What Tom didn't know was that Chief Inspector Margaret Davies had received an anonymous tip 3 hours earlier. A caller speaking, in a disguised voice, claimed that Tom Parker was carrying something dangerous on his flight. The tip seemed absurd at first glance. After all, this was the Queen Consort's son, but protocol demanded investigation. Davies had seen enough false alarms in her 20-year career to know that even royal connections couldn't override security procedures. The royal protection officers flanking Tom exchanged worried glances as airport security approached. Detective Sergeant James Mitchell, Tom's usual bodyguard, stepped forward with practiced diplomacy. He had protected various members of the extended royal family for 15 years and understood the delicate balance required in such situations. His main concern was avoiding any public spectacle that might damage the monarchy's reputation. Tom's girlfriend, Sarah Chen, a successful architect who had been dating him for 2 years, watched anxiously from the departure lounge. She had noticed Tom's unusual nervousness that morning, but attributed it to his recent stress about his struggling restaurant business. The couple had plans to spend a romantic weekend in Scotland, far from the pressures of London society and the constant scrutiny that came with being connected to the royal family. Meanwhile, at Clarence's house, Camilla was hosting a charity breakfast for literacy programs when her private secretary, Amanda Thornton, whispered urgent news in her ear. The Queen Consort's composed expression barely flickered, but those who knew her well could see the slight tightening around her eyes. She had always worried about her children from her first marriage being thrust into the spotlight, especially Tom, who valued his privacy above all else. The security team at Heathrow had quietly cordoned off a section of the terminal, ensuring that curious passengers and potential photographers were kept at bay. Chief Inspector Davies understood that any leak of this story could create a media frenzy that would overshadow whatever they might or might not find. She had already contacted the palace's press office to ensure complete discretion during the investigation. Tom's hands trembled slightly as he handed over his carry-on luggage for additional screening. He had always been the more rebellious of Camilla's children, preferring his career in food journalism to the formal world of royal engagements. His relationship with his stepfather, King Charles, had grown warmer over the years, but he still felt like an outsider looking in on the Windsor family dynamics. The X-ray machine hummed as Tom's belongings passed through for the second time. Security officer Lisa Reynolds, a mother of 2 who had worked at Heathrow for 8 years, noticed something unusual in the scan. She called over her supervisor, trying to keep her voice calm and professional. The image on the screen showed what appeared to be a small electronic device hidden within Tom's laptop bag, something that hadn't been visible during the initial security check. Detective Sergeant Mitchell immediately stepped closer, his protective instincts heightening. He had seen enough security situations to know that this was no routine inspection. His hand moved instinctively toward his radio, ready to call for additional backup if needed. The last thing anyone wanted was for this situation to escalate beyond their control. Sarah Chen pressed against the window of the departure lounge, trying to understand why Tom had been separated from the other passengers. Her phone buzzed with messages from friends who had seen social media posts about increased security activity at the airport. She quickly deleted the messages, hoping to prevent any speculation from spreading further. As news of the security delay reached the palace through secure channels, private secretaries began damage control procedures. They had learned from past experiences that even minor incidents involving royal family members could spiral into major controversies if not handled properly. The palace's crisis management team was quietly activated, preparing for multiple scenarios depending on what the search might reveal. Chief Inspector Davies made the decision to move Tom and his security detail to a private screening room, away from public view. She had dealt with enough high-profile cases to know that discretion now could prevent embarrassment later. Her team was experienced in handling sensitive situations involving prominent individuals. But this was her first direct encounter with someone so close to the royal family. Tom's mind raced as he was escorted to the private area. He tried to think of any reasonable explanation for whatever had triggered this additional scrutiny. His laptop contained nothing more sensitive than restaurant reviews and correspondence with editors. The electronic device that security had spotted remained a mystery to him. His confusion was evident to everyone watching. The atmosphere grew more tense as additional security personnel arrived discreetly. Detective Sergeant Mitchell maintained his professional demeanor while internally preparing for the worst-case scenario. His years of experience had taught him that situations like this could change rapidly, and he needed to be ready to protect both Tom's physical safety and his reputation. As the private screening room door closed behind them, Tom Parker found himself at the center of a mystery that would soon shake the very foundations of his family's carefully maintained public image. The surprising revelation waiting to be discovered would send ripples through the palace that no one could have anticipated, changing everything the royal family thought they knew about one of their own. The private screening room felt smaller than it actually was, as Chief Inspector Davies carefully unpacked Tom's laptop bag. Her experienced hands moved methodically through each compartment, while Tom watched with growing anxiety. Detective Sergeant Mitchell stood ready to intervene if necessary, though he hoped this would all turn out to be a simple misunderstanding that could be quickly resolved. Tom's phone buzzed constantly with messages from Sarah, who was still waiting in the departure lounge. She had begun to worry that something serious was happening, especially after noticing several additional security personnel moving through the terminal. Her architectural training had given her a keen eye for spatial dynamics, and she could tell that the airport's normal flow had been subtly disrupted. At Clarence House, Camilla excused herself from the charity breakfast and retreated to her private study. Her longtime friend and confidant, Dame Elizabeth Morrison, followed with a cup of tea and a concerned expression. The two women had navigated many crises together over the years, but this situation felt different because it involved family rather than public duties. The Queen Consort's phone rang with updates from her private secretary every few minutes. Amanda Thornton was coordinating with the palace security team to ensure that news of the incident didn't leak to the media. They had learned from past experiences that even minor royal family incidents could become front-page news, if not carefully managed from the beginning. Back in the screening room, Chief Inspector Davies found the electronic device that had appeared on the X-ray scan. It was a small recording device, professionally installed and nearly invisible to casual observation. Her heart sank as she realized this was far more serious than a simple security mix-up. She immediately called for a specialist team to examine the device more thoroughly. Tom's face went pale when he saw the recording equipment. He genuinely had no idea how it had gotten into his bag, and his confusion was obvious to everyone present. Detective Sergeant Mitchell's protective instincts went into high alert as he considered the implications. Someone had deliberately planted surveillance equipment on a member of the royal family, which constituted a serious security breach. The specialist technical team arrived within minutes, their equipment cases drawing curious looks from airport staff. Dr. Rachel Foster, a digital forensics expert who had worked on several high-profile cases, began examining the device with meticulous care. Her initial assessment suggested that this was sophisticated equipment, far beyond what an amateur would use. Sarah Chen was finally approached by airport security and informed that there would be additional delays. They couldn't provide specific details, but assured her that Tom's safety was their primary concern. She agreed to wait in a private lounge, though her worry continued to grow with each passing minute. Her phone contained several missed calls from Tom's editor, who was expecting his restaurant review by deadline. The recording device yielded its first clues under Dr. Foster's expert analysis. The equipment was of Eastern European manufacture, typically used by intelligence services or highly sophisticated criminal organizations. More troubling was the discovery that it had been recording for several weeks, capturing conversations and activities wherever Tom had carried his laptop bag. Chief Inspector Davies immediately contacted MI5. Recognizing that this incident had escalated beyond airport security into matters of national importance, the potential implications for royal security were staggering. and she needed expertise that only the intelligence services could provide. Her 20-year career had prepared her for many situations, but not for discovering espionage equipment connected to the royal family. Detective Sergeant Mitchell found himself in an impossible position. His duty was to protect Tom, but he also needed to preserve evidence for what was clearly becoming a major investigation. He discreetly activated additional security protocols, ensuring that Tom's location remained secure while investigators worked to understand the full scope of the threat. Tom's mind raced as he tried to think of anyone who might want to spy on him. His life as a food critic seemed mundane compared to the high-stakes world that his stepfather inhabited as king. He thought about his recent restaurant reviews, his private conversations with Sarah, and his occasional attendance at royal family gatherings, all potentially valuable to someone with the right motivation at the palace. The security briefing room filled with senior officials as news of the discovery reached the highest levels. Sir Geoffrey Hartwell, the king's private secretary, coordinated with intelligence chiefs to assess the potential damage. They needed to understand not only what had been recorded, but who was behind the surveillance and what they intended to do with the information. The technical analysis revealed that the device had been transmitting data to an encrypted server. Though the exact destination remained unclear, Dr. Foster's team worked to trace the digital breadcrumbs while being careful not to alert whoever was receiving the transmitted information. The sophistication of the operation suggested significant resources and planning. Camilla received another update that made her stomach clench with worry. The recording device had captured numerous private family conversations, including discussions about security arrangements, personal relationships, and sensitive palace business. The potential for embarrassment or security breaches seemed endless, and she knew that this crisis was only beginning to unfold. Sarah. Chen was finally allowed to speak with Tom via secure phone connection. His voice sounded strained as he tried to explain the situation without revealing classified details. She could tell he was frightened and confused, which only increased her own anxiety. Her architectural projects seemed trivial compared to whatever her boyfriend was experiencing. The investigation team discovered that the device had been planted approximately 3 weeks earlier, during a period when Tom had attended several high-profile royal events. The timing suggested that whoever was responsible had specifically targeted him because of his access to the royal family rather than his career as a food critic. As evening approached, the full scope of the security breach began to emerge. The recording device was just the beginning of what appeared to be a sophisticated intelligence operation targeting the British royal family. Tom Parker, who had always preferred staying in the background, found himself at the center of an international incident that threatened to expose the most private moments of his family's life. Chief Inspector Davies prepared her preliminary report, knowing that this case would likely define the remainder of her career. The discovery of professional surveillance equipment on a member of the royal family represented one of the most serious security breaches in recent memory, with implications that extended far beyond a single incident at Heathrow Airport. The secure conference room deep within Thames House buzzed with urgent activity as MI5's counterintelligence team assembled for an emergency briefing. Director General Amanda Cross had been pulled from a family dinner when the severity of the royal security breach became clear. Her 30 years in intelligence work had taught her to expect the unexpected, but discovering sophisticated surveillance equipment on the Queen Consort's son was unprecedented. Tom Parker found himself transported from Heathrow to a safe house in central London, accompanied by Detective Sergeant Mitchell and a team of protection officers. The modest townhouse looked ordinary from the outside, but Tom quickly realized it was equipped with advanced security measures. His phone had been temporarily confiscated for analysis, leaving him feeling completely cut off from his normal life. Sarah. Chen waited anxiously at the airport for hours before being informed that Tom's flight had been indefinitely postponed due to a family emergency. The careful wording told her nothing while everything, and she knew enough about Tom's complicated relationship with royal protocol to understand that something significant had occurred. Her evening was spent pacing her apartment, trying to focus on architectural blueprints while her mind raced with possibilities. The digital forensics team worked through the night, carefully analyzing the data that had been transmitted from the recording device. Dr. Rachel Foster discovered that the information had been sent to a server farm in .NE, Europe. Though the trail quickly went cold behind layers of encryption and digital misdirection, the sophistication suggested state-level resources rather than ordinary criminal activity. King Charles received his briefing at Clarence House in the presence of his most trusted advisors. Sir Geoffrey Hartwell presented the facts with characteristic precision. Though everyone in the room understood the potential implications, the monarch's stepson had unknowingly carried surveillance equipment for weeks, potentially compromising national security and certainly violating the privacy of the royal family. Camilla struggled to maintain her composure during what should have been a routine evening engagement at the Royal Opera House. Dame Elizabeth Morrison stayed close beside her, providing quiet support while they both worried about Tom's safety and the broader implications for the family. The Queen Consort's training in public duty ward, with her maternal instincts to rush to her sons' side. The MI5 investigation uncovered the first major clue when analysts discovered that the surveillance device had been planted during a charity auction that Tom had attended 3 weeks earlier. Security footage from the event showed hundreds of attendees, but the technical team began the painstaking process of identifying anyone who might have had access to Tom's belongings during the evening. Tom spent his first night in protective custody, struggling to sleep while trying to remember every conversation he had conducted near his laptop bag over the past month. The realization that his privacy had been completely violated felt overwhelming, and he worried about what personal information might now be in foreign hands. His relationship with Sarah, his private thoughts about royal life, his business dealings, all potentially compromised. Detective Sergeant Mitchell coordinated with intelligence officials to establish a comprehensive security assessment for the entire royal family. If sophisticated adversaries were willing to target Tom Parker, they might have similar operations targeting other family members. The investigation expanded to include sweeps of all royal residences and a review of security protocols for extended family members. Dr. Foster's team made a breakthrough when they identified unusual patterns in the transmitted data. The recording device had been programmed to specifically capture conversations containing certain keywords related to royal security, state functions, and international relationships. This suggested that the operation was focused on gathering intelligence rather than general surveillance or blackmail material. The charity auction guest list revealed several individuals with questionable backgrounds, including a Russian businessman who had recently been flagged by intelligence services for possible connections to Moscow's security apparatus. Viktor Petrov had purchased several expensive items at the auction and had been photographed near the table where Tom had placed his belongings during dinner. Sarah Chen's architectural firm received an unexpected visit from two polite but persistent individuals. Claiming to be insurance investigators, they asked detailed questions about her relationship with Tom and her knowledge of his recent activities. Her professional instincts told her something was wrong, and she contacted the emergency number Tom had given her months earlier for unusual situations. The insurance investigators turned out to be foreign intelligence operatives conducting their own investigation into what had gone wrong with their surveillance operation. MI5 had anticipated this possibility and had Sarah's apartment under discreet observation. The attempted contact confirmed that multiple foreign services were interested in the royal family's private information. Camilla's private secretary received an encrypted message through diplomatic channels containing what appeared to be transcripts of private conversations between family members. The message demanded no ransom, but made clear that significant amounts of compromising information had been collected. The psychological warfare aspect of the operation became evident. The goal was to create fear and uncertainty rather than immediate financial gain. The technical analysis revealed that the recording device was just one component of a larger surveillance network. Similar equipment had been discovered in restaurants that Tom frequented. suggesting that the operation had been extensive and long-running. The realization that foreign intelligence services had been systematically monitoring a member of the royal family for months sent shockwaves through the security establishment. Tom's business associates were quietly contacted and warned about potential security risks. His editor at the food magazine was briefed by intelligence officials and agreed to cooperate fully with the investigation. The ripple effects of the surveillance operation touched dozens of innocent people who had simply been in Tom's vicinity during the past month. The international implications became clear when similar surveillance equipment was discovered targeting junior members of other European royal families. Intelligence sharing between allied nations revealed a coordinated campaign designed to collect compromising information about constitutional monarchies across the continent. The operation appeared designed to destabilize traditional institutions. During a period of global uncertainty, as the third day of investigation concluded, MI5 had assembled a comprehensive picture of a sophisticated intelligence operation that had successfully penetrated the privacy of the British royal family. The discovery of the recording device in Tom's luggage was just the tip of an iceberg that threatened to reshape how the monarchy approached security and privacy in an increasingly dangerous world. The weight of responsibility settled heavily on everyone involved in the investigation, as they realized that this case would likely influence royal security protocols for generations to come. The breakthrough came at dawn on the fourth day when cyber analysts finally cracked the encryption protecting the transmitted surveillance data. Dr. Rachel Foster had worked for 36 hours straight, surviving on coffee and determination when the files suddenly became accessible. What she discovered made her immediately contact Director General Amanda Cross. Regardless of the early hour, the decrypted files contained not just recordings of Tom Parker's conversations, but detailed intelligence assessments about the inner workings of the royal family. Foreign analysts had compiled psychological profiles, security vulnerabilities, and personal relationship dynamics with shocking accuracy. The professional quality of the analysis suggested involvement by a major intelligence service with significant resources. Tom Parker was moved to a more secure location after MI5 discovered that his original safe house had been under surveillance by unknown operatives. Detective Sergeant Mitchell noticed the tale during a routine security check and immediately implemented emergency protocols. The realization that foreign agents were actively tracking the investigation added a new layer of urgency to an already complex situation. Viktor Petrov, the Russian businessman identified at the charity auction, had disappeared from his London hotel the same night the recording device was discovered. His room had been professionally cleaned of evidence, but hotel security cameras captured images of 3 individuals removing equipment cases in the early morning hours. The operation showed sophisticated planning and execution. Sarah Chen was relocated to protective custody after her apartment was burglarized by professionals who left no trace except for the absence of her personal computers and correspondence. The burglars had somehow disabled the building's security system without triggering any alarms. She arrived at the safe house confused and frightened. Finally understanding the gravity of whatever Tom had become involved in, King Charles convened an emergency session of the Privy Council to discuss the security implications of the surveillance operation. The meeting included the Prime Minister, senior cabinet members, and the heads of all major intelligence services. The king's concern was evident as he listened to briefings about the extent of foreign penetration into his family's private life. The investigation revealed that Tom Parker had been specifically targeted because of his unique position within the royal family. As Camilla's son from her first marriage, he had access to family gatherings but maintained enough independence to travel freely without the security restrictions that applied to direct heirs to the throne. This made him an ideal intelligence target for foreign services. Camilla met with her son for the first time since the crisis began, their reunion taking place in a secure government facility rather than the comfortable familiarity of home. Tom looked exhausted and overwhelmed as he tried to apologize for somehow putting the family at risk. His mother's response surprised him with its strength and determination rather than the worry he had expected. The technical team discovered that the surveillance operation had collected audio, recordings of conversations between Tom and various family members during casual visits to royal residences. The recordings captured discussions about upcoming state visits, security concerns, and personal family matters that could prove embarrassing if released publicly. The potential for blackmail or diplomatic pressure was enormous. Dr. Foster's analysis revealed that the intelligence operation had been active for at least 6 months. With preliminary surveillance beginning shortly after, Tom's relationship with Sarah became serious. The timing suggested that foreign services had identified his girlfriend as either a potential vulnerability or an additional avenue for intelligence collection. Sarah's work on government building projects made her an attractive secondary target. The MI5 counterintelligence team uncovered evidence of similar surveillance operations targeting other constitutional monarchies across Europe. Spanish, Dutch, and Scandinavian intelligence services reported discovering comparable equipment and methodology. The coordination suggested a systematic campaign rather than an isolated operation. Against Britain alone, Tom's editor at the food magazine was interviewed extensively about possible foreign contacts who might have shown unusual interest in Tom's work or schedule. The investigation revealed that several individuals had made subtle inquiries about Tom's travel plans and professional commitments over the past months. The pattern suggested careful preparation rather than opportunistic surveillance. The international implications grew more serious when diplomatic communications were intercepted discussing the potential use of the collected intelligence in future negotiations with Britain. The surveillance operation was apparently intended to provide leverage during delicate diplomatic situations. Giving foreign powers intimate knowledge of royal family dynamics and concerns, Sarah Chen provided crucial information when she remembered a conversation with Tom about feeling like someone had been in his apartment while he was away. They had dismissed it as paranoia at the time, but investigators now realized that the surveillance team had been conducting regular physical searches of his residents to plant and maintain their equipment. The psychological pressure on the royal family intensified when they realized that months of private conversations had been recorded and analyzed by hostile intelligence services. Every family gathering, personal discussion, and intimate moment shared in Tom's presence had potentially been compromised. The violation of privacy felt total and devastating. Detective Sergeant Mitchell coordinated with international security services to track Viktor Petrov's movements after his disappearance from London. Intelligence sharing revealed that he had used multiple false identities to travel through Eastern Europe before apparently returning to Moscow. The professional nature of his extraction confirmed state-level involvement in the surveillance operation. The investigation expanded to include a review of all individuals who had interacted with Tom Parker over the past year. Restaurant staff, taxi drivers, hotel employees, and casual acquaintances were all potential sources of information or additional surveillance assets. The scope of the required security review seemed almost impossible to complete. As the 4th day of investigation concluded, MI5 had assembled evidence of one of the most sophisticated intelligence operations ever conducted against the British royal family. The discovery had exposed not just a security breach but a systematic campaign to gather leverage against the constitutional monarchy. The full implications were still emerging as investigators continued to unravel the extent of foreign penetration into the most private aspects of royal life. The case had evolved from a routine airport security check into a matter of national security with international ramifications that would reshape how democratic nations protected their symbolic institutions from foreign interference. The shocking revelation came when MI5's deepest investigation uncovered the true purpose behind the sophisticated surveillance operation. Dr. Rachel Foster had been analyzing patterns in the collected data when she discovered something that made her hands shake as she reached for her secure phone. The Foreign Intelligence Service hadn't been trying to gather blackmail material or diplomatic leverage. They had been searching for evidence of a decades-old royal secret. Director General Amanda Cross arrived at Thames House within minutes of receiving Dr. Foster's urgent call. The encrypted files revealed that foreign analysts had been specifically looking for information about a child that Camilla had allegedly given birth to in the 1970s, years before her marriage to Andrew Parker Bowles. The existence of this older sibling had been one of the royal family's most closely guarded secrets. Tom Parker sat in stunned silence as MI5 briefed him about what they had discovered. The surveillance operation had been designed to find proof that he had an older brother, a son that Camilla had given up for adoption during her youth, when unmarried motherhood would have destroyed her social standing. The Foreign Intelligence Service had somehow learned of this possibility and was determined to identify and locate this individual. The implications hit the royal family like a thunderbolt. If such a person existed and could be identified, he would technically be Camilla's eldest son and potentially have claims, or at least embarrassing questions about his abandonment by the future queen consort. The political and personal ramifications were staggering, especially given the monarchy's recent focus on modernization and family values. Sarah Chen listened in bewilderment as intelligence officers explained that her relationship with Tom had been carefully monitored because foreign agents hoped he might eventually confide family secrets to someone he trusted completely. The surveillance had captured every intimate conversation they had shared, searching for any mention of family history or secrets that Tom himself might not even know. King Charles was briefed about the situation in his private study at Clarence House, with only his most trusted advisor present. Sir Geoffrey Hartwell watched the monarch's composed exterior crack slightly as he absorbed the implications. The king had always known about Camilla's past, but had believed that particular chapter was permanently closed. The possibility that foreign agents were actively searching for his stepson's older brother created a new category of crisis. Camilla's world shifted fundamentally when she learned that her deepest secret had somehow become the target of an international intelligence operation. She had spent 50 years believing that her firstborn son was safe in anonymity, adopted by a loving family who knew nothing of his biological mother's eventual royal connections. Now that protective anonymity was under deliberate attack, the investigation revealed that foreign intelligence services had been systematically researching British adoption records from the 1970s, cross-referencing them with Camilla's known whereabouts during her youth. Computer algorithms had narrowed down possibilities to a manageable list of potential candidates who matched the right age, location, and circumstances. The search was methodical and sophisticated. Dr. Foster discovered that the surveillance of Tom had intensified after foreign agents identified several possible matches for Camilla's eldest son. They had been hoping that family resemblance, mannerisms, or unconscious references might help them confirm which candidate was the right person. The psychological profiling of Tom had been designed to understand family, genetics, and behavioral patterns. The technical team uncovered evidence that foreign operatives had been conducting discreet surveillance of several middle-aged men across Britain who fit their target profile. DNA samples had been collected from discarded coffee cups, restaurant napkins, and other sources without the knowledge of the potential targets. The operation's scope was breathtaking in its audacity and thoroughness. Tom struggled to process the revelation that he might have an older brother, whose existence had been hidden from him his entire life. The foreign intelligence operation had ironically revealed a family secret that his own family had never shared. He felt betrayed and confused, wondering how many other secrets might be hidden beneath the surface of his seemingly straightforward family history. The MI5 investigation team realized they were racing against time to identify and protect Camilla's eldest son before foreign agents could locate and potentially exploit him. If hostile intelligence services found him first, they could use him for psychological warfare, blackmail, or simply public embarrassment of the royal family. The stakes had escalated beyond anything they had initially imagined. Detective Sergeant Mitchell coordinated with adoption agencies and government record offices to secure and protect relevant files from the 1970s. Many records had been computerized in recent decades, making them vulnerable to cyber attacks. The investigation had revealed that foreign hackers had been probing British government databases for months, specifically targeting adoption and birth record systems. Sarah Chen found herself questioning everything she thought. The revelation that he had been unknowingly living under surveillance while foreign agents searched for his secret older brother made her realize how naive she had been about the complexities of royal life. Even Tom's seemingly independent existence as a food critic had been an illusion. Camilla made the painful decision to contact the adoption agency that had handled her son's placement 50 years earlier. The organization had evolved significantly over the decades, but some staff members had institutional memory of unusual cases involving prominent families. The Queen Consort's inquiry triggered discreet protective measures for individuals who might be at risk. The foreign intelligence operation had been more successful than anyone initially realized. Surveillance data revealed that agents had narrowed their search to 3 possible candidates for Camilla's eldest son. All 3 men were living ordinary lives, completely unaware that they were being evaluated as potential tools for international espionage or diplomatic pressure. As the 5th day of investigation drew to a close, MI5 faced the unprecedented challenge of protecting the British royal family from an intelligence operation that had already succeeded in uncovering one of their deepest secrets. The surveillance of Tom Parker had been merely the final phase of a multi-year campaign designed to weaponize family history against the constitutional monarchy. The investigation had revealed that the most intimate aspects of royal family life were under systematic attack by sophisticated adversaries who understood that personal secrets could be more damaging than any traditional intelligence gathering. The discovery would force a fundamental reassessment of how the royal family balanced public service with personal privacy in an age of global surveillance. The final revelation came when MI5 successfully identified and located Camilla's eldest son before foreign intelligence services could reach him. David Morrison, a 54-year-old carpenter living quietly in Cornwall, had no idea that his adoption papers contained the key to one of the monarchy's greatest secrets. His world changed forever when Detective Sergeant Mitchell and a team of protection officers arrived at his workshop with news that would reshape his understanding of his own identity. David's resemblance to Tom Parker was unmistakable once investigators saw them together. The same eyes, the same smile, and similar mannerisms confirmed what DNA testing would later prove scientifically. Foreign intelligence agents had been correct in their assessment. Camilla's firstborn son was alive and had been living an ordinary life just hours from London, completely unaware of his royal connections. The security operation to protect David Morrison became one of MI5's most complex challenges. Unlike Tom, who had grown up understanding royal protocols and security requirements, David was a private citizen who valued his independence and had no experience with protection details. Convincing him to accept security measures while maintaining his normal life required careful negotiation and gradual introduction to the realities of his situation. Tom Parker's emotional reunion with the brother he had never known existed was both joyful and overwhelming. The 2 men discovered shared interests, similar humor, and family traits that had somehow survived 50 years of separation. Their conversations were carefully monitored by security services, not for surveillance, but to ensure that foreign agents couldn't exploit their relationship or intercept their communications. Camilla's private meeting with her eldest son, after 5 decades, was one of the most emotionally charged moments in recent royal history. The Queen Consort had imagined this reunion countless times over the years, but had never expected it to happen. Under such dramatic circumstances, David's gracious acceptance of her difficult choice as a young woman demonstrated a maturity that impressed everyone involved in the sensitive situation. The international intelligence operation collapsed. Once MI5 had secured David Morrison's safety and cooperation, foreign agents realized that their multi-year campaign had been detected and neutralized before they could achieve their objectives. The sophisticated surveillance network that had targeted the royal family was systematically dismantled as Allied intelligence services coordinated their response. Across multiple countries, King Charles welcomed his new stepson with characteristic dignity and warmth, though the circumstances of their introduction were unlike anything in royal protocol. David's integration into the extended royal family required careful planning to protect both his privacy and the monarchy's stability. The king's private secretary worked with constitutional experts to understand the implications of officially acknowledging Camilla's eldest son, Sarah. Chen found herself in the unique position of being Tom's girlfriend while also becoming David's potential sister-in-law. Her architectural background proved useful in helping design security modifications for David's Cornwall home, allowing him to maintain his independence while ensuring his safety. The expansion of the Royal Protection Network, too, include a previously unknown family member required significant resources in planning the media management around David Morrison's existence became a masterclass in royal communications strategy. Rather than allowing foreign agents or tabloid journalists to control the narrative, the palace chose to acknowledge his identity proactively, while emphasizing his right to privacy and his lack of any claims to royal titles or privileges. The announcement was carefully crafted to minimize sensation while satisfying public curiosity. Dr. Rachel Foster's technical analysis revealed that foreign intelligence services had invested enormous resources in their operation against the royal family. The surveillance equipment, cyber attacks, and human intelligence networks had cost millions of pounds and involved dozens of operatives across multiple countries. The failure of such an expensive operation was a significant setback for hostile intelligence services. Detective Sergeant Mitchell was promoted to head a new Royal Protection Unit specifically designed to address modern threats against the extended royal family. The surveillance operation had revealed vulnerabilities in traditional security approaches that needed to be addressed with contemporary methods. His experience managing the crisis made him the obvious choice to lead these enhanced protection efforts. The foreign intelligence operatives who had orchestrated the surveillance campaign faced significant consequences when their operation was exposed. Viktor Petrov and several associates were declared persona non grata and expelled from Britain. While others faced criminal charges for espionage activities, the diplomatic fallout strengthened Britain's resolve to counter foreign interference in domestic institutions. David Morrison's decision to maintain his ordinary life while accepting his royal heritage became a model for modern monarchy. He continued his carpentry work but agreed to occasional private family gatherings and discreet security measures. His approach demonstrated that royal connections didn't necessarily require abandoning personal independence or professional identity. The technical investigation concluded with a comprehensive review of royal family security that implemented new protections against electronic surveillance, cyber attacks, and human intelligence operations. The lessons learned from the Tom Parker case influenced security protocols for constitutional monarchies worldwide as they adapted to contemporary espionage threats. Tom Parker returned to his food writing career with enhanced security, awareness, and a new appreciation for the complexities of royal life. His relationship with Sarah deepened as they navigated the challenges of extended family dynamics that now included a previously unknown brother. The experience had matured him in ways he never expected. The case officially closed when the last foreign operatives were identified and neutralized, but its implications continued to influence royal security for years afterward. The discovery that foreign intelligence services had successfully penetrated the royal family's most private moments forced a fundamental rethinking of how constitutional monarchies protected themselves in the digital age. Camillas' relationship with both her sons evolved as they processed the extraordinary circumstances that had brought David back into their lives. Family dinners that had once been casual affairs now required security coordination. But the joy of reunion outweighed the inconveniences. The queen consort found peace in finally being able to acknowledge all her children openly, even if only within the protected circle of the immediate family. The broader implications for international relations became clear as Allied intelligence services shared information about similar operations targeting democratic institutions worldwide. The surveillance of Tom Parker had been part of a larger campaign designed to destabilize Western governments by exploiting personal secrets and family relationships. The successful defense against this operation strengthened cooperation between intelligence agencies. David Morrison's workshop in Cornwall became an unlikely symbol of modern royal life as he continued his carpentry while occasionally hosting discreet family visits. His practical approach to his newfound royal connections impressed even the most traditional palace courtiers. The fact that he chose to maintain his working-class lifestyle while accepting his heritage demonstrated the monarchy's ability to evolve with changing times. The investigation's conclusion brought closure to a crisis that had tested every aspect of the royal security apparatus. Chief Inspector Davies received recognition for her role in uncovering the surveillance operation. Though the classified nature of much of the case meant that public acknowledgement was limited, her career had been defined by this single case that had potentially saved the monarchy from a devastating intelligence breach. As months passed and life returned to a new normal, the Parker family gathering for holidays became more meaningful than ever before. Tom and David's relationship deepened as they discovered shared interests and family traits that had somehow survived 5 decades of separation. Sarah Chen found herself welcomed into an extended family that was both royal and remarkably down-to-earth. The final intelligence assessment concluded that the foreign operation had failed in its primary objective of weaponizing royal family secrets, but it had succeeded in forcing the monarchy to strengthen its defenses against contemporary threats. The royal family emerged from the crisis more united and more aware of the sophisticated challenges they faced in an interconnected world. The surveillance equipment that had started the entire crisis was eventually displayed in a classified intelligence museum as an example of the lengths to which foreign powers would go to compromise British institutions. The case became a training example for future intelligence officers, demonstrating how personal relationships and family secrets could be exploited by sophisticated adversaries. Years later, Tom Parker would reflect on how a routine flight to Edinburgh had uncovered secrets that changed his family forever while protecting them from forces they never knew existed. The discovery of surveillance equipment in his luggage had revealed not just a security breach, but a brother, not just an intelligence operatic.